Welcome everyone to a new market update. Today we're going to discuss whether Bitcoin is bottomed out or whether we're going to have some more downwards momentum at this stage, which is still uncertain. Many people were asking whether they should short the markets yesterday as we had a breakdown. However, the markets or the opportunities of shorting has been before. Now we have seen a pretty decent bounce that we should be having in the markets in general. Are we getting a super cycle? What is going to happen with the altcoins? We're going to discuss a little bit about that today. But first, before we're going to continue, do not forget to subscribe beneath and also like the content if you enjoy my YouTube content, and comment if you want to see some special content in general. Let's get to the charts in which we're going to discuss Bitcoin. And that's the first one we're going to be discussing on the daily time frame, as we can see on this chart. We do know that the area that it should be sustaining as support is this entire region around between 29 to 31. You preferably want to see it sustain support there. What we saw yesterday is that we wicked all the way down. We took the liquidity on the downside, and all the liquidity has been taken from that area. Next to that, we also know that options expiry is happening quite soon, which is usually leading to a different path afterwards, and the days before or the days around the options expiry are usually quite volatile. But if you wanted to see some sort of reversal, you want to see that it bounced back quite swiftly like it has been doing yesterday, and during this panic or drop down, many people were claiming or expecting markets to drop even further, and I think many people have been emotionally reacting to that move and closing their positions. But what are you going to do when it bounces back up? And why are you selling there? I think the strategy of starting to sell when it starts to drop that swiftly, and when it still doesn't lose the level in general, is not the right approach to do so. But I can understand that if you're new since February or January, that you're looking like you want to sell because you're experiencing the first real sell-off in crypto. Then we've got the topic of bear bull market. I think if you would like to call it a bear market, that's fine. If you would call it a bearish momentum in a bull cycle, that's also fine. But if you're going to call it a bear market here, or starting to call it like that here, you're focused too much on the word itself. I think it doesn't really matter that much, because if you're saying it's a bear market here, how are you still going to adapt towards a strategy around those two words that you're saying? So what do we see? Bitcoin is still acting inside this range. We get a possible bullish divergence, which is usually a signal for continuation. However, we are still not getting above critical levels, and we are still not flipping a critical level. So what I mean by that is that we have lost the 34.5k level as a critical level before we started to nosedive. And even yesterday was a green day. But 34.5 is a very critical level, and on the lower time frames we can see why that is important. It was the support before we started to nosedive. That we are flipping 31.6 as support again, that's a good signal. So you can see that on the left you had 31.5, that area had to sustain support. You can see in this small wick that we've actually flipped it for support too. But right now, as you can see, we are acting inside resistance, so probably we are going to have some more downwards momentum, or at least some more consolidation. I've deleted the green zone because of simplicity. But what do we want to see here? Well, preferably if you want to see this construction hold, you don't want to see Bitcoin drop beneath this entire region here. So preferably we want to sustain that support area between 32.3 and 33.0. If that is lost, we still have the small break that we do have here around 31, as that has been the area of support before we started to fall down too, and it has been tested several times. So you want to see a higher low confirmed, either or preferably you want to see it happening in this range. If that happens, we are most likely continuing the upwards momentum, and then most likely you'll get to the area of 36. I'll just make this one a little bit of orange. 36 is the next level, and we've got this entire region around 38. Those two are the next levels that we should be looking at. So preferably you want to see this green zone hold, as that keeps the construction or the upwards momentum going. If we do keep that as support, we can keep gaining old levels of support again as support, and then we can target 36.5 and 38 and maybe even the upper part of the range, which is 41. So that is what I'm looking at right now. And if we do gain 34.6 and if we grant ourselves a new higher low afterwards, the divergence becomes more valid and more valid. But still, Bitcoin is acting inside this range and didn't really regain any important level yet, through which there might be a bottom right now, but you still want to see some very important signals before we can actually argue that. So then, what about altcoins? Well, Ethereum has been losing some momentum, and you can see the exact same happening here. So what do we see? We do have this upper resistance zone at 2.9k. Since then we have been making lower highs and flipping support levels for resistances, as you can see. And therefore we got ourselves in the next area of support, which is this entire region that we have around 1750. That is the next area of support, and I've been giving that in the previous videos too. I prefer to see this hold here. You can see that we already got a dip. However, we also lost the support level, which is the area around 2100. So pretty much the same as with Bitcoin at this stage, is that right now we are getting into this block. Preferably the area is a little bit higher, I see right now. That's the resistance zone. So we lost this support. Right now we're getting some momentum, but we have to regain that level in order to be ready to continue the momentum to any of these previous levels. And if we do not do that, we probably reject around the region of 2150, make a higher low, and then we can continue moving. That is another confirmation that we might be bottoming out. But right now we just bounce back into the previous support, and therefore you want to see whether that becomes a resistance or whether we can actually keep a higher low and break higher upwards. What is the level to watch for Ethereum? That's this entire region around 1900. Ethereum against Bitcoin, still in support zone. Critical level of support is still holding, as we can see with those dips here. Actually, this has to be like this. So we have these dips. So it's still holding the level. We see that the critical level that I wanted to see flip at around 0.63 is not holding as support, but right now we do. So preferably I want to see a break above 0.6 again, and then we can start targeting 0.63. If that doesn't happen and we rejected any of these two and we're going to make lower highs again, I would not be surprised if we make a further drop towards the next area of support around 0.45. So what's most likely going to happen with the markets right now? All depending on Bitcoin. The chances that it is bottomed out are significant, but as I said in this video, there are still critical levels that we should be breaking, and if we break those, then the chances of being bottomed out are increasing. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you again tomorrow with a new fresh update.